So you've got your slab rolled out now. Fabulous. You can put your rolling pin to one side. Then you're going to take, I've made some templates because I thought this might be easier. So these are going to form your slab, and then obviously they're going to form into that cylinder. And you'll notice that I've put some ears on this one already. You can have different kinds of ears on it, but that's just a guideline for you then to put onto your slab and to draw around. So this is what you're going to cut against. So put your template on, and if you should find that the clay doesn't reach as far as it needs to for your template, just take that off and get one of the adults to help you to roll it out a little bit more. But yeah, that should be fine. In fact, I'm going to put it on that way down, and then it doesn't stick to the clay so much. Okay, so you can either use, I've got a plastic knife, and I've got a couple of clay tools here that have both got quite a sort of smooth, sharp-ish edge to them. And that's what I'm going to try using to cut the clay. So I just hold the template in place, and I just make a cut down like that, put that off to one side, and then I'm going to make a cut along here as well, put that off to one side, and the same at the top. Ooh, that's a little bit tough, that one. Now this is the one really where it's going to be a bit more of a challenge. So if you found, like I've just found, that it was a bit tough cutting with that, I would suggest at this point try and find something else, maybe something a bit sharper to do your final cut with. So turn it around like that. So let's see if this is any better for doing a bit more of an intricate cut. So I'm going to cut like that. Yeah, I think that's better, that one. So I'm going to stick with that, and then make an ear, remove that piece, and I'm going to make another ear there. You can see, can't you, that my ear is slightly different from the cardboard template, and that is fine. That's absolutely fine. Every animal is going to be individual, aren't they? Every animal is going to be unique, so that's fine. Make another cut there, take that piece, and final cut there, and ooh, yeah, it's a bit tough. Final cut there. Okay, these pieces, I'm not smooshing them together yet because they're still rolled out as slab pieces. For now, I think I'm just going to keep them under a little piece of plastic. And what we might do in a bit is we might make some little cactus with those. So just put them to one side. And then we should quickly peel this off before it starts sticking. There we go. Peel it off, and then we've got our little animal shape. So I'm going to bring in the former. You remember the former at this point? I'm just going to give that 2 sheets where I wrap it with the 2 sheets of newspaper, if you remember, so that my former doesn't stick to the clay. So I'm just going to wrap that, wrap, okay, and then I'm going to roll my clay around the former like so, and I should start to get that shape. Right, now if you find, like I found here now, that my form doesn't quite meet, we could slip that out and try a slightly smaller former. We've got various ones, haven't we, that I left in the studio last week. I'm going to try this one. So let me try wrapping that. Wrap it up like that, and then let's use that to wrap my clay around. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to get a good shape out of that one. There we go. And then what we did last time is we just made one single cut, didn't we? down it. It's hard to do without enough hands. Hang on. Made one single cut down it, and then I know that that and that are going to join there, like that. And of course now I have to slip and score. I get a sharper tool to do that with. I'm going to score it, which means to rough up the edges all the way along each of the edges, so make sure you've got a really good rough edge all the way along. I'll just speed my film up and do the other side. Then I bring back the slip. You will have a paintbrush to do this with. I've got my finger. You can use your finger if you like. I'm going to blob some of the liquid clay, the slip. I'm going to blob that along the join because that's going to act as the glue. Make sure that it's all the way along that one side. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to bring them around the former, and I'm going to really press them together as well. Really press those two sides together, and then you can start smooshing it a bit with your finger as well, like that, to really join those two pieces of clay. So push the two sides together, push, and smoosh with your finger as well. Okay, so push and then smooth it over afterwards with your finger. Push and smooth it over. Now, if like me, you've got a really nice neat join at the bottom there, fabulous, but at the top it doesn't meet at all, that's absolutely fine. While it's on the former now, just get your knife and just trim that to where you want it to be. There we go. I'll just take that piece off. Fabulous. And then we're going to join the bottom on. Is the next bit. Okay, and I think that's from the joining of the bottom is the bit I did probably last week, so we'll edit to that video now. You take your cylinder that you've just joined along the back and make sure that you are scoring the base of it, so not the side with the ears but the base that's going to join onto the bottom. And you're going to score, you're going to make the clay really rough all the way around it. Once you've done that, you'll put it against a flatly rolled out another piece of slab, and you'll just draw around the shape of your cylinder. And then, as you can see from this little bit of video, you're then going to take the cylinder off and then score all the places on the base where that cylinder is going to touch. So you'll end up with a ring, a scored ring. Now onto that ring we are going to need to put some of our special clay glue, which we call slip. I'm using a paintbrush here, you can use your finger. Make sure your slip isn't just water, but make sure it does have some of the clay broken down into sort of a gluey slip, and you're going to paint that all the way around your ring on the base, so that when your cylinder of clay and your base of clay meet, there's plenty of glue that's going to mesh those two rough pieces together and give you a really good join. So I've just noticed that part of the wall of the cylinder isn't touching the right part of the base, so I've just moved that. Now I'm smooshing it together. I'm just giving it a wiggle. So I'm kind of pressing the cylinder of clay onto the base of clay to try and get it to connect. So I'm sort of pushing down on it, but without destroying the cylinder. You can also try to use maybe a tool along the side to get a better join. You could use your finger if your finger's small enough, or try a few different tools there. Don't worry too much about the join, you just want to make sure it's made contact. And then what you can do now is cut away all of that spare clay. We can't fold that clay up the side of the pot because it will make the clay too thick and we might get an air pocket trapped. So we're going to cut away all of the extra clay that we don't really require. You don't have to be too precise about this. And then from that, I'm going to be able to now carefully wiggle and lift that pot up. And then as you can see, I can then start to push any bits that aren't quite meeting. Use a bit of slip on my finger, push and smoosh that clay around. It's still quite squishy and quite soft, so I can really push it together, blend it with my finger, and then keep turning around, keep working on those joins along the bottom there. If your hand's small enough, you can slip your hand inside, sort of push that clay up so there's no gap. Get a little bit more slip on your finger, and that will help you to keep a really smooth surface. If your finger's wet, or you've got clay on your finger, wet clay on your finger, that's great. That's going to really help you to get that nice smooth finish. So just keep working your way around, adding a little bit of slip along the way, pressing the clay together, making sure it's making contact, not just plopping the slip on, but actually pushing the clay together as well, and making sure you make contact all the way around. Like I say, if you can get your hand in the inside, you can do that a little bit. Be careful though not to push the base of your clay too much. And there you go, you've worked your way all the way around. You've made a pretty good join. You can pick off any little bits that you've accidentally put on along the way. And there you go, so you've joined your base to your cylinder.